So we approved one more. And then we have 5 to determine whether we do put in a master valve. Yellowbird has been holding up their side of the bargain. They
some of the smaller branches to use the mowers as shredders, kind of like what they do now. So I think it's going to be a combination of things going on to get it
Yeah.
within a week, which
Yes,
is,
but
like she said, pretty incredible.
if they're under this contract, you're paying for labor by the hour, so if they're bringing more people, you're paying for them.
Right,
Right.
exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct. You're paying for it.
Okay, so the two questions will be, well, if he's willing to negotiate, we can still sit down with him. And then how he would add on to any work that was missed, how it gets added onto the contract at the end of the year.
One of the points, just a thought to address part of what Jesse's saying, is since they have multiple communities, where are we on a priority list?
Good question.
I think he spelled that out. I think he said people that sign the agreement and have it in place are going to have a priority over those that don't, and they would judge it based on the severity of the community as to which one they would go to first. If roads were blocked, they would make them the priority over
But
someone
they've
that
got a
isn't.
decision to make. It's just a question.
Yeah, okay. All right, anything else? All right. All right, we are going to jump to traffic calming. So I put together a little presentation.
At the traffic?
That's the traffic.
That's it. Wouldn't that be nice?
That's what happens after a hurricane. Oh.
Okay. All right. So, as many of you know, there are a lot of people driving. I will not say that they all live here, but there are people that drive in this community that do not drive the speed limit. 25 is the speed limit here in Summit Greens, and I was able to get a little bit of data as to the way people are driving. I don't have a lot of data, but I can get more. So I have a radar gun that I was able to use. So if you can go to the next screen, I took some data on Summit Greens Boulevard. So between the Clubhouse Drive and the back gate, so on that stretch, in an hour and a half over 2 days, I did it at different times. One was in the evening and one was in the afternoon around noon. We had, of the 75 vehicles, we had only 5 that were actually doing the speed limit. Between 26 and 30, I'm like, well, we'll give everybody about 5 miles an hour, was about another 28%. And then from 31 to 40, 48, so 2 of the cars went flying by at 48 miles an hour. So that put us at 66% or more than 5 miles an hour over the speed limit. Next slide. Oh, one back. Okay, so then I also, and I want to thank my wife, Kat, who sat out there and took this data with me. So we hid next to the pump station down on Summit Greens Boulevard. And that was, once again, we did it 2 different times. We did morning and night on this one. Once again, 8 of the 85 vehicles were going the speed limit. Another 20 were within the 5 mile an hour range. 67% were more than 5 miles per hour over the speed limit. And the top speed on that one was 49 miles an hour. So that's just like literally just a snapshot. It was interesting, and a lot of people have said to me when they saw it on the agenda, we have vendors in here. I've got to tell you, the vendors, most of them were in that 26 to 30 miles an hour. Except UPS. UPS didn't care. I think they were up at like 40. But other than that, all the other vendors were really driving the speed limit or within 5 miles an hour in the community. So I just wanted to take a little data to show. I know there's very mixed emotions about this topic. Once again, nothing is being decided tonight. It's just so we can have a discussion moving forward. Next slide. So there's some options. Neville and I went to a community over in Mineola? Yeah. Yes, and we in their community, they have the radar speed signs. Did a little research. Basically, these speed signs, they say, help reduce the speed by 25%. They are portable, so we can actually put them right on our speed limit signs now. They're solar powered, so we wouldn't have to worry about electricity. They're also, some of them have a camera option, which allows you to track license plates and send violations. Next slide. So then there are speed bumps, speed humps, and speed tables. So a speed bump are those short little, it's about a foot wide, about 6 inches high, and you feel them. They're bumps. You feel them when you go over. A speed hump is a little bit wider. It's about 7 feet wide and a little bit lower. And then next slide. And then there are speed tables. So speed tables, if you've ever driven on Don Wickham Boulevard down by the hospital down there, they have speed tables. They're actually made out of asphalt. And so they're flat. They're anywhere between 14 and 21 feet wide. You can also make them so they're not all the way to the gutters so that bike riders can get through on the sides. These are temporary, so they're rubber. They're made out of rubber, and you can put them down and take them up. And they say that if you're coming, so if one of those 48-mile-an-hour cars, we can get it down to 20, 25 miles an hour as it passes there. Next. So this is just a little bit more information, a way they do them. They're really just small, like blocks that you just piece together. They're kind of like puzzle pieces that you put together to form the speed tables. And there are 2 ways you can do it. You can do temporary, or like the ones on Don Wickham, you can do them in asphalt. Next slide. So they give you a choice as far as the colors that you can put on, either bright yellow or white. They're made of 100% recycled rubber. They're longer lasting, they say, than the ones that are made out of the asphalt. Next. So these are just options. Options, lots of options. Option number 1 could be we don't do anything. We could install the radar speed signs, and this is just for Summit Greens Boulevard, not talking about side roads, side streets. I'd like to say people slow down when they hit the residential areas, but I think if I sat in front of my house on Summit Greens Boulevard, it's not really true. But I like to think that. So this would really just be between Indianwood and the front gate. So you can do the speed signs without cameras, which is basically no administrative cost. Just, the hope is that they see that they're doing 40 and people are going to slow down. Or that you can do it with the cameras. Now, the problem with the cameras is it's an administrative expense, a huge administrative expense, because somebody would have to be monitoring the cameras, sending the violations, yada, 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 yada. But that's an option that that could be considered. Next. Another option is if we wanted to put in speed tables. If the speed tables are effective, we can keep the temporary speed tables, or when we do the roads. So the plan is next year to hopefully be doing Summit Greens Boulevard. So if they worked, we can actually make them out of asphalt, or you can just keep these. Or if the speed tables are not effective, then we just would remove them. Next, and I think that's it. Okay, thank you. All right, so those, and once again, the other option is do nothing. So I'd love to hear from you guys on your thoughts.
Well,
Go ahead.
I was going to say, the first thing is I don't believe in hoping that people will pay attention to something and feel guilty about it and say, I really shouldn't be going that quickly. I mean, if they're going that quickly, they'll look at it and maybe admire their speed as they go by. So I don't think that's a deterrent. The actual physical bump in the road may be more of a deterrent. However, I've heard from a number of residents when they knew that we were going to be discussing this, that these tables are very uncomfortable and they'll go out of their way near Don Wickham or some other places to avoid it because of back surgeries and other things that make it very uncomfortable for them when they go over the bumps. So I haven't come up with anything that I think is the ideal answer.
Okay, thank you.
Initially, I thought the display of the miles per hour, the sign, would be great. Um, it's a kind of a first step towards, oh yeah, I really am going 20 miles an hour over the speed limit, right? I don't know. I don't. I don't have any track record to say one way or the other. I don't like the cost associated with the camera. It seems like that's a step down the road when you're at your wit's end, and nothing else is working. I didn't like the idea of bumps, but the last one that you showed, which were the rubber ones that could be removed, I really don't like putting the asphalt down, especially all the discussion we've had about the roads.
Right.
But I guess I feel like either the sign or the rubber ones that are removable. And
Okay.
I think a couple of things. Number one, who's the offending audience? Are they our neighbors? Because I agree with the signs. I've always believed in the signs. But I will tell you that if they're the signs, that's just a distraction. If the problem is with our neighbors, they're going to go right on through it because they're going to know it. Matter of fact, they might see, let's see how fast I can get it to go. I mean, there's a lot of things there, and I'm a big believer in those signs. But if the offending problem are our neighbors, then I don't know for sure that, because we've pleaded, we've tried, we listened, we've heard at meetings for years about this, and it doesn't work. And so you mentioned, some of the delivery trucks are the least offending people, which is kind of interesting.
It's interesting.
Because they're maybe here less, although I don't know about UPS. But so the thing is that who are the offending people that we're trying to target? And it isn't intended to be a penalty. It's intended to bring attention to something. I've grown kind of the opportunity is there to use the rubberized tables, and maybe you don't put them in. You put them in one location that you think is a priority. Install them there. I mean, Deb, you and I went down to Johns Lake and we looked at them there, and you install them and see how that works. If that's going to be successful, and you pick one of those locations and give it a test to see what it'll work, I guarantee you it will slow down the traffic there. Because, and I get what you're saying, Maureen, about the people that are saying, oh, my back and all that, but you know what? They'll drive slower, won't they? That's what will happen. And so that's the key is we want them to drive slower, and so that's what we have to do. And if that's what it takes, then that's what it takes.
I agree with Jim, especially on do one. Don't do more than one until we tried it out. And I think anybody that goes up near the fire station and sees the tables up there can realize how much better they are than the humps and the bumps. You hear it as you drive over it, but you don't really feel it. And I've gone through some places where I have to go frequently, let's just say frequently, that have these bumps, and it is just torture.
I agree.
Especially if you drive a low car.
Yes, absolutely.
Stop.
I want to just create some discussion. Why? Don't throw things at me. Why not raise it to 35 in the area on the boulevard, from the front gate to the back?
Because they'll go 45.
right, they'll go
Well,
10.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that part, but I don't know how many people drive up the boulevard. We do because we live on Hidden Bluff, so I'm always going up the boulevard, type of thing. And I just, it's wide. There's no parking on the streets. And I'm just wondering if we're addressing a wrong problem. No matter what the speed limit is, you're right. If it's 50, we're not going to go 60. But there's a practical side. 25, to me, is really too slow a speed for that half-mile, almost mile area. It's just something to throw out.
Who sets the speed limit?
I respect Bill's point of view, but if you raise it to 35, they will go to 55. Hearing me now?
Yeah.
I respect Bill's point of view, but if you raise it to 35, the possibility is that they will go beyond 45 and 55. And especially going down before you reach the gate, the tendency that is where most of the speeding I have seen taking place. You may be going at 25 at that point, but eventually you're going 35, 40 because you're not putting your foot to the brake and you're going downhill, and it becomes it's a greater speed at that point in time. So I think we need to maintain that 25 and try to monitor it by the speed tables or whatever we decide later on.
My point, you pick a place, pick the tower to address your point of coming down the hill. Put a ramp there, the long one. By the time you get down to our area, they're going to be going 35 again. I mean, you're talking about 3/4 of a mile area.
Right, yes.
Jesse had
I-
something.
I'm
I'll
not
talk
sure
to you
I-
about the speed limit, but
Okay.
let Jesse go
Go ahead,
first.
Jess.
Number one, Jim, you asked, is it our resident, our neighbors? Yes, it is. When we did the back gate project,
Oh.
we had signs up there, slow down.
Yeah.
No one slowed down. We had signs and flags, slow down. And they actually, when they passed us, they sped up. Or even they sped up coming to us. So it's mostly our neighbors because only our neighbors came through that back gate because that's all we let in back there. Up by the fire department, those little tables they have there, whatever you want to call those are not preventative for anything. I go through there at regular speed because they don't prevent you from slowing down. So that doesn't work. My suggestion would be speed tables because we got to slow folks down coming here. My golf cart goes 26. I'm a mile over it. I get past just like I'm standing still, and it zips. So, and it's every single day, whether I'm coming or going. Going down the hill, we have to address that as we come to it. But something needs to happen there also when you're going out the front gate. I know they're leaving, and you want to say bye, but they're speeding when they're leaving because it's gonna the road going down the road is gonna make you go faster. They don't ride their brakes, so we need to control the speed in here. We got seniors in here. I'm glad it slows down somewhat when you get past Indian what is it, Indian Wood?
Indian Wood, yeah.
Because it's a residential. You got homes here. You got to slow down and you have to think about it at least.
Sure.
But otherwise, it's a raceway in there.
No, I
I'm
agree.
guilty as well. So
So you asked about the speed limit. The Federal Highway Transportation folks have this manual of uniform traffic control stuff, and I haven't looked at this for a while, but it spells out all these recommended guidelines by the federal people, and typically 30 miles an hour was for residential areas, 30 miles an hour is what most communities would have, but then locally they adopt, the last couple of places that I work locally, they adopted a 25 mile an hour speed limit. Ours are set because there are private streets, so we set the speed. You could set it for the moon, but there are streets, and so, but I think the manual typically recommended 30. We're at 25, but a lot of communities have adopted 25 for their residential areas for probably all the same reasons that we're talking about here. So, and given the pedestrian traffic or the golf cart traffic that we have, 25 is probably an appropriate limit to have on there. So then, but I just, having listened to this for years, the audience, the offending audience is still our neighbors, our folks that live here, and I don't know how to get around that. I mean, the signs will be effective for the people that come here the first couple of times, and that goes off in front of their face and they see it. But eventually they're just going to drive by it because they know it does give some, I think it gives you some kind of a reaction maybe when you see it to slow down, at least the first few times. But if you're driving through your day-to-day, it's probably the same thing as other signs. They just become part of the scenery. So it's like we can post all the 25 mile an hour speed limit signs that we have, but they become part of the scenery. It's just like, I mean, we're not even talking about the stop sign at the back entrance. I mean, let's go on to that. I mean, how many times have we either been on the cross street or we're this way and, hello, I'm right here, and they just drive right through it. So, I mean, that's a whole different thing. And some have said, well, Jesus, maybe we should put these at the stop signs. We'll get them to stop. You will get them to stop, but we will all have to deal with that to stop. And so I think you have to keep that in mind, too.
So something else that was brought up by a resident this morning said that we could have if we allowed it, and I don't know if this is true, that we could have the police come in to enforce the speed limit. And I questioned it was a private road.
So you can do, I did a little checking with this because Johns Lake again, they have a contract with the sheriff up there. And so the sheriff, they have a contract with the sheriff. They pay him X number of dollars to police their streets. And then they have some ability to have that. I think in this case, because we're with the city would have to, we would have to enter into agreement with the city. They may have to put something in the code to be able to do that. And then that's only relying on the fact that if you're not paying them directly to be there, they're going to do it as they're available.
Gotcha.
And so, you could do that, but don't expect they're going to be sitting on the corner all the time.
Where would you like to take it from here? Are you looking for a recommendation, or are you looking for just general feedback, or?
I think to everyone's point here is that you put the signs, no one's going to pay attention. If you put the humps or the tables, everyone's going to get affected, and you're not just targeting the ones that are violating this. I think the only way to really do that is to do that option that you mentioned was with the camera and send the violations like you do for anyone that violates other rules. We send a violation. That would be, that's what I've seen as the most effective, is when you actually put a penalty to those that are breaking the rule.
Yeah, it's just the cost that's associated with that. I mean, it would almost need to be another person, another employee.
I thought the last ones you
Claremont
talked
had a
about were
failure
pretty
with that.
effective. That
How
had
serious are we trying to address the problem?
Well,
I mean,
that's
that's
a good
the
point.
real question. How serious, if we're going to do it, and you really want to address it, then pay somebody, get the cameras, and find people. We'll get their attention.
Claremont did that fining, and it didn't work.
No? Okay.
The cameras cost us $1,200 a month to have them there and have it monitored.
They got
And
rid
we
of
have to have someone monitor, and we wind up, the first offense, we give to them free. After that, we charge them. That's how we make up the $1,200.
But we
Do we
front
want
the
that
money
here?
for that, right? We're fronting the money until we get it back.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So do we want that?
Well, how are we, we're arm waving the problem. We've got a problem, we admit it, and as Jim points out, we all do, we do it. We're the ones that violate
Right.
the issue.
If you have a speed table there, you got to slow down.
Right.
And it doesn't cost us anything but what the speed table costs us. So, I mean, and you get used to slowing down. So,
Yeah, I think the idea of going to a numerical sign that changes with cameras, that's like the last straw. I mean, there's a lot of expense there, and maybe we can just try that last option on the bumps that you had.
Yeah, and I like the idea,
you know.
yours or who said one. I think you said start with a test. Let's try one. Let's see how it works. Put it. I'm not sure which location, but we can decide. And if we find that it is slowing down, then we can move forward with additional ones. But Mike, just come on up to the mic. Oh, does the mic work? Go over to Jesse.
Right, I'm not advocating, Mike Suma, 2452 Prairie Dunes. I'm not advocating for any of them. Not that I don't want them, but I'm not in favor of this one or that one. How about the front page of the Summit Times? Slow down, we're after you. And do that for 2 or 3 months. Because that thing sits right on my coffee table every day. And like most other people, it sits right next to them. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but because you're saying we're reaching the people. We're reaching the same 50 people and the same 20 people at home every week that we have, or every 2 weeks that we have these. We're not reaching anybody. So Put it on the front page of the Summit Times. Do it for a couple of months.
You could try it, or make it a magnet that they have to put on their dashboard.
It's not gonna, I don't think, I don't think it's gonna cost us anything, but
Right.
at least then you're really reaching everybody, because everybody looks at that.
No, thank you. So here's my thought. Do a little, I do have an email out to a company that does them, so I can get some pricing. They haven't reached back to me. Obviously, we're not making a decision, but do we think we could move forward with this speed, if I get some pricing and then move forward with trying one speed table at this point and giving it a
Point-
shot?
Your point of that, if we go anywhere up near the front gate in the water, you need two. The road up there is much wider.
Well, true.
I mean, so
So-
pick an area from the back gate to the clubhouse or something and try the one. That's where the biggest speed is,
Okay.
between the back gate and the clubhouse area.
Agreed.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's
Okay.
where the biggest speed, where the highest potential for pedestrian interaction is at, where you're talking about.
Yeah, because a lot of people are crossing at the
We got
clubhouse.
two entrance streets there between the back gate and the clubhouse.
Absolutely. Okay. All right, so we would bring this back to the board once we get some more information. Thank you all.
Great.
That was good. That was a nice discussion. Okay, so we're going to jump to member comments. I have,
What about the AV?
we're going to table that until the next meeting.
On that,
We have the vendor here.
on that point of the audio visual, or the audio, are we including the Bluetooth?
No. Hearing loop?
Well, can we include the Bluetooth, at least find out what it costs?
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
people like me with hearing aids, the Bluetooth works fantastic.
So, yes. Actually, we found out Jinx is not interested. They'll help us, but they're not interested in working on it.
We're talking about spending maybe up 12 grand. I'm just saying, what's the delta to include Bluetooth?
Well, qualified. Thank you. I'm sorry. Not yes. So it's actually a whole different system. As of right now, it's a wired system. It's not just a Bluetooth system. So I do have the name of another company who had reached out to us when we first started the project 2 years ago.
I'm not the only person here with hearing aids.
I agree. I know. Yep. No. So yes. So it is on the outlook. We did reach out. Jinx isn't qualified, but we are definitely going to look at that as well. All right, Bob Link.
Can I ask you a question, though?
Yes.
Go back to the tables a minute. If something like this is put in, is that something that's considered because it's roads, that it's a reserve cost?
What is the cost?
Don't know yet.
We don't know the cost, but I guess my question is, if we're putting this in, we're not doing the boulevard yet this year, but if we're putting this in as an effort to see if that's something we would do, is putting this in before, is that considered a reserve thing because it's the road? Likelihood? Okay, thank you.
Okay. Other side. It's right there.
Jim, yeah, likely. Let's look at the details, and in particular, let's look at the details also in light of all of the rest of the reserve money that we'll be spending in the next year.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Bob Link?
Bob Link, 1047 Hidden Bluff. I am here to encourage you, or perhaps even to get you to pursue keeping our outdoor pool open after sunset. I have received the regulations. I do know what they are now. I can't believe that we are that far away from meeting those regulations. So I would like to continue this discussion. And if you all don't want to do it, I'll shoot myself tomorrow, I'm sure. But I'll even volunteer to take this project on myself, find out what we have to do to meet those requirements, what that cost would be, and report back to you if you are willing to proceed down this road.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Is there any history on why it closes? I know, so I did a little research. Bob had given me a little heads up this morning, and I know it's due to the lighting. So I didn't know if it was ever tried before or,
There's no lighting in the pool?
well, there's lights in the pool. There's lights in the pool.
Oh, insufficient around the deck and all?
That, yes, that's what I'm assuming, yes.
Big liability.
According to the regulations, the lighting can be within the pool or from above the pool. It does not have to be within the pool. So if we do have to add lighting, we can add it up on top of the pool, not in it, which is, of course, much cheaper.
All right, noted, thank you. All right, next, Mike Lillis.
Thank you, Jesse. Excuse me, I'm not having a very good day. Deb, these comments are basically for you direct.
You got to use the mic.
This comment is directly for you to answer my question. Last Tuesday, there was a problem with the back gate. Last Tuesday, there was a problem with the back gate, and the decision was made to close.
Mike, a little closer.
Hold the mic closer to your mouth.
Yeah, there you go.
Last Tuesday, there was a problem with the back gate, and a decision was made to close, I got it, to close the resident entrance, forcing residents to maneuver through the traffic on Hancock and Route 50 to enter into the front gate. Lou and Victoria discovered the situation, the gate was reopened, and eventually it was repaired. My question is this: can we, the residents of Summit Greens, be assured that any future decisions to open or close the entrance gates, the pool, the spa, the fitness center, etc., be made by the people who have the authority to make those decisions? That would be Victoria, the president, the vice president, the secretary, or the treasurer in your absence. That's my question.
And the answer is yes. Yes, absolutely. For those of you that I was not aware that that was happening. So when I did find out, I made sure that, and my decision was to reopen the back gates. So Victoria and I have had a conversation, and she knows that if there's any issues like that in the future, that it would come to me. I would make the decision. In my absence would be one of the other officers. So yes, we handled that. And I do apologize for all the confusion, because it was open, it was closed, and then Thames actually did come back and fix it, so it got to be working. But yes, so I do apologize, but in the future, it will be either myself or one of the executive board that makes the decision. You're welcome. All right. I think that's it. Motion to adjourn? Oh. Come on up, grab a mic. Jesse's.
Dorothy Jenkins, 2845 Highland View Circle. And my question is to the board, you personally, when are we going to get the signs for the pickleball court that is residents only, trespassing, keep out trespassing sign? We've been told that they've been ordered since February. When are we going to get them?
I just asked Victoria yesterday. Victoria just answered this coming week.
But next week we will definitely have the sign.
So yes, next week we will definitely have the signs. Mike? Oh, I'm sorry.
Traveling Mike. I'm a traveling Mike. Residents only means that if I'm a resident and want to play pickleball, and I have a friend staying with me for a week, he can't come up with me and play pickleball?
No. It actually says residents, guests, and visitors.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's the same as tennis and
Exactly.
the pool?
Yeah.
Okay, so if I come up and my friends are with me and they're staying with me, whatever, whether a visitor or guest, nobody should be turned away?
Nope.
Thank you.
Nope, absolutely not. Everyone is welcome. No worries.
Deb, I'd like
Yes.
to address part of that. Residents, you have a responsibility when you have your guests come up to the pickleball courts and the pool or whatever facility they may come and use, that number one, in the pool we had folks that had family members in the pool, that had beer cans around the pool, kids were jumping in the pool, and the parents were urging them on, come on, jump in. And those were visitors. So if you're sending your family to the pool, you need to make sure you give them the rules and regulations. We have signs, but they don't read them. So make sure you give them the rules and regulations prior. We want everyone to enjoy it, but we want our residents to enjoy as well. And residents have been complaining like crazy. That's number one. Pickleball courts. When you're bringing your friends and family up to the pickleball courts, again, we have rules and regulations. No beverages, no bags, or anything like that on the facility, inside the facility itself. Everything's to be left outside of the gate. And when they're told, they can't give the person a hard time that's trying to follow the rules, especially if that person has on their shirt that they're the ambassador of the pickleball club. So we just want everyone to follow the rules so that we have a happy community here. We've had a few incidents where folks came in that wasn't residents or weren't part of a residence of the members here. We took care of that, and hopefully we don't have any more of that. But we don't need people that don't live here coming in and taking advantage of our facilities. Because we respect it, we want them to respect it as well.
Thank you. I second that. All right. I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right. Have a wonderful evening.
Have a happy Memorial Day. Whose house is the barbecue?